Hello everybody. Hey Robbie, I think you're here. Can you hear me okay? If you can, just let me know. I'm not sure how this works. I haven't done this before with this setup, so if you could let me know if I'm coming in loud and clear, that would be great. We'll sit here and wait for a few more people to arrive. There's only a couple people so far. And this is mostly just a test to see how things are going to work further down the line if we have some live events happening here. So if you guys can hear me, let me know if I'm coming in. I'm not sure how if this is picking up my voice or not. Can you hear me? So I'm gonna assume you can hear me. I'm not sure. I've only got 2 people watching, so we'll sit around, wait a little longer. My name is Tom. I have had this channel for a few years now, and just trying to get it going, trying to get some more subscribers, and trying to figure out what people want to see. You can kind of see on the left-hand side, I'm in the middle of the screen. You can kind of see I'm in the middle of a project. If you've been watching any of my videos, you may be aware. This is mostly going to be a question and answer session. So, if anybody has any questions, anything you want to see more of on this channel, you could let me know. Further along in the middle of the year, we will be having a Cub Fest. It'll be the 3rd annual Mid-Maine Cub Fest, and members of the Cub of my Cub Club, I have a Cub Club that we meet here every other Saturday. We host a annual Cub Fest, as it's known, and we invite various members from the Farmall CUB forum online. We will have a vendor here this year. So this is meant to be interactive, so if you guys have any questions, or want to chat, please chat away. Great, Robbie. I finally. I wasn't sure if anybody could hear me. So, Robbie, you're from Prince Edward Island. How's the winter been for you there? Here it's yes, I think I talked with you earlier, or saw your video. You had a video, I think, where you restored your Farmall 100. I think I saw that one, if I remember correctly. No snow. Yeah, we've got a good at least 2 feet of snow here still. So it's raining today, and we expect 60 degrees by Wednesday. That will take away quite a bit of the snow, hopefully. And Yes, that 100, that came out really, really, really nice. I enjoyed watching that video. I would encourage anybody to search and look for Robbie's video on his 100. It came out really nice. I'm from Exeter, Maine, just outside of Bangor, Maine, about 20 miles, just west of Bangor. I'm sort of new to the Farmall scene. I got a Farmall CUB in 2013, and it didn't come with any implements whatsoever. And I went to New York and met up with a guy, and he gave me a cultivator, a complete set of cultivators, a plow, and oh, what else did he give me? One other thing. Will come to me in a minute. And then I went to TM Tractors. They're the vendor that's going to be at the Maine CUB Fest this year, and I got a planter from them, and I restored that. That's in one of my videos. You can look at that. Yeah, that came out pretty nice. I didn't get I don't think I got a picture of what it looked like when I first picked it up, but it was pretty much dirt brown when I got it. And I thought it was mostly rust, but it did have some original blue paint underneath. Yeah, I've been working on my grater blade. And I've got it mostly restored, but it's been a little hard to get the final coat of paint on here with the weather. It just hasn't been that easy to paint. I don't really have a good setup to paint, except here in my cellar, and the fumes kind of go up through the house if I don't have it ventilated correctly, and that's not good for the rest of the family. I've been trying to wait for some sunny, warm days to get that painted, and then I'm going to put a clear coat over the top of it and hopefully protect it. But it's got I have at least one coat of final paint on it, but I think it needs another coat. The Farmall A and the Farmall 100 are very similar. I think the 100 is just the newer designation for the A. There might be some improvements from the A. And I think the grater blade that you're looking for is a little bit, I think that's a full 60 inches wide, as opposed to my blade, which is yours probably does have more horsepower, but I think the grater blade is 6 inches wider than mine, than the Farmall CUB blade. So Robbie, do you get over to the States very much, or are you pretty much on the island? What do you do for work? It's kind of like the Tom and Robbie show, I guess. Says we have 4 other people watching. They're welcome to chat too. You haven't been off the island even though they put the new bridge in, huh? I've wanted to go across that bridge. I actually grew up on the coast of Maine, the first part of my life, and all my neighbors were lobster fishermen, or crab fishermen actually. We always were well stocked with A lot of crab meat in the summertime. Well, this seems to be working okay. Probably won't stay on too long. Well, you've got an extra person watching. Um, so, again, this is mostly just a test to see how it's going to work. What's a AC-B? Oh, okay. So, Robbie, it sounds like you're really getting into tractors. Are you going to be restoring them all like your 100, or are you buying them restored? Right, the Alice Chalmers. Yeah, there was one of those. I don't know if it was a B, but it was up the road from us all summer long. Guy had a nice one that was all restored, and he finally ended up selling it. The very first tractor I ever drove was an Alice. The very first tractor I ever steered was sitting on my uncle's lap, and that was I think it was a Model B John Deere. And I still remember him telling me, of course, the Model B had the narrow front end, and I can remember him telling me that I was not to steer it too far because it was just plowing. I was making the front wheels plow instead of steer. That was probably when I was about 4 or 5 years old. Old tractor memories. So the reason I got into the Farmall CUBs was growing up. My dad, he was an agricultural agent, and growing up, he always used to tell me he always wanted a little Farmall CUB. That's what he wanted. He thought having a little Farmall CUB would be great to help around the garden. So I finally got a chance to get a little Farmall CUB, and when I finally stood next to the little Farmall CUB, it really wasn't that little. I thought they were smaller, but the guy that sold it to me was the original owner of the Cub, and he'd kept it going really nice. Had it tuned up every year, and it was it still has the original paint, which there's not much of the original paint left for 1953, but it runs perfectly, and so I'm the second owner of this 1953 Cub. Since he had it for almost 60 years before he finally sold it. He moved back to New York, and I couldn't take it with him. And as I was taking it off out of his driveway on the trailer, he had tears streaming down his cheeks. I'll never forget that. So I'm looking at two screens. So the one that's recording me, and the one that's on my regular computer where the chat is. So that's why maybe it looks like I'm not looking right at you. I've never been to PEI. I'm a GIS person. I do a lot of mapping, so I've seen. I've done some mapping of PEI, but I've done mapping all over the world. In fact, for natural resource reasons. A lot of forestry work, and so I'm familiar with PEI and how it's laid out. Yes, there are some big farms, a lot of open land, I noticed, from what I remember. A lot of spuds. Yeah. Yeah, we have, I'm actually, in this part of Maine, this is known as Little Aroostook. We have, my neighbor is actually I think he's almost the largest potato producer in the state of Maine now. He's got 2 potato warehouses now. I think each one has, well, he's got 4 bins now, and each bin holds 200,000 bushels of potatoes. So, and he's planning to build 4 more double bins just like that. So he wants to be the central Maine hub of potato storage here in the state of Maine. So I guess he wants to have over 1 million bushels of potatoes right in one location. How many acres do I have? I don't have that many acres, but fortunately the guy behind me has 135 acres. He leases some of that to a person who plants corn and someone else who cuts hay, and he lets me farm about 10 acres of his land. And then, of course, whatever I grow vegetables, and whatever vegetables he wants, he just comes over and gets, and that's how I pay him, is just by letting him have whatever he wants for vegetables for nothing. So we have a little farm stand out front that we sell vegetables on, and quite often on his way home from work he'll stop by and raid the stand, take whatever he wants for nothing, and that's how we work things out. And he doesn't take any more than he needs, and we have more than we can sell, so it works out pretty good. Before I started doing a lot of farming, before I did a lot of farming with the Cub, a couple years before I got the Cub, it was all pasture land for cows. He raised cows. Actually, I don't farm. Well, what I do is I till about 1 acre or 2 with the Cub, and then I cut the rest, keep the rest of the 10 acres cut with the sickle mower on the Cub, just to keep it from growing up to brush. It's kind of a wet area, and it's not suitable to plant corn on. So eventually, when he decides to sell his property, I'm going to buy it and tile that area out there. Maybe it'll be easier to plant at that time. Some of his land is tiled, but that part out there isn't. Robbie, it sounds like you have an awful lot of tractors. You have at least 3 that I know of now. Yes. Some might say you have tractor fever. I guess that's a common term if you have a lot of tractors. I have 2 Cubs, that's about it. And then my John Deere mower. It also has a rototiller, a hydraulic tiller attachment on the back that I can attach to the back. But I've been finding that this year I got a harrow for my Cub, and that seems to work really nicely. I picked that up from TM Tractors for $300. It's a double gang mower, double gang harrow, sorry. And I made a video of that. Yeah, there's actually a couple towns north of here. There's a place where there's tractors on both sides of the road, and the guy sells parts. It's kind of a tractor graveyard. Well, Robbie, if you ever get off the island around the middle or the first weekend in July, you should come over to my Cub Fest on a Saturday and come. Well, we usually have 7 or 8 tractors here, and there's always tractors going up and down the road from the potato operations. We have some tractors here that barely fit in the roads. They're huge. The potato farmer buys the biggest tractors he can, and this year or last year he had a couple. He started getting into the tracked tractors, and those things are massive. In the wintertime, he has a tractor that he puts a plow blade on that takes up the entire width, both sides of the road, and nobody gets by him when he goes by with that. Just just water. That's all I'm drinking. Yeah, there's actually floating around. I've seen a picture of at the Farmall plants. That's how they used to ship the Farmall Cubs out too. Was by train, and there were cars and cars loaded with different Farmalls on it. They used to do a lot of shipping by train. And there's still some of those pictures out there. Yeah. My dad grew up on a potato farm. He remembers uh, they had the Farmall M's, Farmall H's. I guess that's what they did all their potato farming with. But that my dad's older. That was back. I think that was back before World War II. He was out. He was farming with the Farmalls. Some of the older ones. And sad story, but the guy that I was telling you about, my neighbor, the big uh, potato producer here, he has for a lawn ornament, he has a Farmall F14, I think it is, for lawn ornament on his front lawn with an old potato picker hooked to the back of it, just rusting away. He calls that lawn art. But it still has the engine. It looks like it could be easily restored. And I go by that every day thinking, oh, probably wouldn't take much at all to get that thing running. But it's just sitting there rusting. Yeah, the guy up at in Dover had a Massey 35, and at one time I was gonna buy that, but it was missing a few things like the seat. That's kind of a consideration if you want to do anything with it. You got to have a seat, but it was other than that, it was pretty well restored. But that was really before I knew what I wanted, and then kind of stumbled upon this Cub, and I'm kind of glad I did because it does everything I need it to do. How many acres does the guy next to me? Well, he's actually pretty big. He's got 4 farms actually. One in let's see, he's got his farm, 2 in northern Maine and 1 in southern Maine. And right here around town, he has about 10,000 acres that he doesn't own, but he leases it and farms with potato and corn. He produces corn and potatoes for Lay's potato chips. He has a contract with them. So he's got at that he had 10,000 acres he was doing before he bought the other 3 farms. I'm not sure how many he has now, how much land he works up now. He's really quite a big time guy. He's only, boy, I don't think he's 32 years old either. He took the business over from his dad. He's 3rd generation potato farmer. Well, I'm going to wrap it up in about a minute here. So I appreciate. Yeah, the 30. I've heard a lot of good things about the 35. I came so close to getting that, but then this Cub came along. And the thing I like about the Cub is there's so many parts. Still a lot of new old stock, a lot of implements, and I always tell the story where I bought my John Deere tractor, and a rototiller, hydraulic rototiller to go on the back of it, and now I have 2 Cubs and several attachments to go on the Cubs, and I still haven't spent more on those 2 Cubs and the attachments than I did on that John Deere tractor. And I can do a lot more with the Cubs than I can with that little tractor, that John Deere tractor. Yeah, I've heard the diesels are better than the gas. The diesel lasts a lot longer. Some people say that these Cubs will burn kerosene, but I don't know if I want to try that with mine. Robbie, it sounds like you'd be a dangerous neighbor. If you lived any closer, I think you'd be talking me into getting more tractors than I already have. I think my wife would hate you. Yeah, I'll look at your videos later, Robbie. I'm going to be wrapping up this session here. Oh, good. That'll be something to look at later. I'm going to be wrapping up this live session now since it seems to work okay. I'm hoping to get a few more. I think I'll advertise this the next session a little bit more because I just kind of thought of this today, and I'll hopefully get some more people watching. So, I appreciate you watching tonight. Yeah, well, this was my first attempt, and I appreciate you helping me. You helped make this show possible tonight, Robbie. I really appreciate all your feedback and comments. It was the Tom and Robbie show tonight, so it's just as much you as it was me, I think. So I appreciate that. So anyway, well, have a good night, everybody, and we'll do this again real soon. I appreciate it. Thanks. Good night.